The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Shaun and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. But for those who are tuning in around the world to the best late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Hack news. Hack news.
Radio.
Hack news. Hack news.
Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sackheads Radio Show. Live from the SHR Media Network headquarters in beautiful downtown Burbank. It is the 11th of January, 2017. To one of our kind listeners who last week pointed out that I dated the show wrong because I used 16, which I fixed. I went and I adjusted, but thank you. I am one of those people that have a very, very hard time when we change years to constantly use the right year. I'll get it right around March sometime. So thank you. And I actually mean that because the fact that it would have went on like that, if nobody pointed it out, I would have been angry. So
parenthesis, damn micromanager, end of parenthesis.
Not at all. Not at all. It was our friend Noran.
He said all you have to do is look for errors.
You know what? I need people to do that for me in life. That's one of the necessities for me.
This is the off-the-hook edition of Sackheads, is it not?
God, we get a lot to get to tonight, and we got to get there quick, and we will get there quick. But here's...
Where do you start?
I'll tell you where we start, because this is what passes for news now.
No, here's where we start. General jackassery.
Right. But,
like we do follow the board, boys. Where do we start? It's on the board. Times and everything.
Whatever happened to
Whatever
happened to Major Jackassery or Colonel Jackassery? It's always General Jackassery.
Listen, we
what
have
about
a general.
The Navy? It could be Admiral Jackassery.
Do you want an antacid?
General Jackassery. I already took 3 before my coffee.
So, but I got this, and of course, the little news ferret that Dan Butcher is over at High Plains Pundit. Can I use the word ferret on the air?
News ferret?
Yeah, I guess I can. Sent this to me. And again, this is what's passing for news. Huffington Post.
There's a good source.
Who many good people consider to be a news source, which is not. It's just Ariana Huffington's personal bitching blog. But we'll call it a newspaper just for the hell of it. There's a report on there by this guy, Lee Moran. He said he's a trends editor. I'm not going to argue. Who am I to say he's not? Second best newsman in the business did send this to me. People are super sad. This is the title, guys. People are super sad that the first dogs, Bo and Sonny, are leaving the White House too. And then it goes into the whole story about the first dogs. This is on the Huffington Post, ladies and gentlemen. They have all these different pictures of the dogs and all this other stuff, and there's actually more pictures of these dogs leaving the White House than the police officers that perished this past week. It's absolutely asinine to me. I can't believe that people go there. Oh,
really?
Sorry. How are you guys?
Great.
Well, after the deluge, I got a call from my neighbor a couple of days ago who said, you might want to come up and look at your house. I think a big ass tree fell through your fence and it's on the street. Well, guess what? He was right. So guess what? No BZ show yesterday. So guess what? Yes, I was doing stuff with a chainsaw.
In the snow and rain.
In the snow, and it was raining.
Yep.
It wasn't quite as windy up there. Okay, so I get some stuff done. I come down the hill because my wife has a house down here in
you
the
get
flats.
a couple mansions. That's fine. It's
Right.
fine, BZ.
Right, but hey, here's the thing. I don't have a Bentley Arnage like Melanie does, and I don't have a Rolls-Royce Phantom like Ken McClinton does. But
Well-
that's news for another time. Anyway, I come down the hill, and then
It's not his.
I'm thinking, wait a minute, but 2/3 of it is his. So I tried. I'm thinking I'm going to
He's
go
the
back up.
chauffeur.
Wait, is he driving Miss Melanie?
He is.
So I decided that I'm going to go try to go back up the hill, and no, I can't because Interstate 80 is closed eastbound at Colfax.
Yes.
So time to go right back down, and that's how I spent my day. How was yours?
Well, and most people don't know this last 4.5, 5 days, those of us in drought-stricken California have gotten quite a sip from the faucet, so to speak.
Did we?
Some places up to, 8 inches over the last 5 days
Oh, yeah.
of rain?
And the snow. Well, they're saying with this and perhaps the one that's coming in next week, we may be out of the drought.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, today, or the last 24 hours alone, they got 3 to 5 feet in certain parts of the Sierras, which feed our water. They've had to open up, we have what's called weirs off the major rivers, and they release water over the riverbanks and into kind of spillouts, if you will. They've opened those up for the first time in, 10 years?
Yeah, it's been, since the last floods we had here were 03, 04, something like that?
It was
And then we had
I think it was last night.
Right. Then we had the big one in
last
97 and 98. And that shut down I-5. It just, oh boy,
I
it
could
was
tell you
crazy.
exactly where I was in those, but I'm not going to on the air.
I can too because I got pulled from one place and sent to another.
I can tell you exactly
But
where I
the
was.
cool
Hey, you
thing
know where
about me.
Wait, you know where I was?
I do actually.
Oh, that's right. Oh, I forgot.
You know what the cool thing was about me? They gave me a deuce and a half to drive around.
Hey, you know,
That was a lot of fun.
I'm envious, actually.
That was great.
Wait, like a really drunk guy?
Right. Except some people may not know what a deuce is, or they may not know what a deuce and a half. A deuce and a half is a very large old army truck that you see in World War II and Vietnam.
Buy him now.
Oh yes, you can. They will forward up to 5 to 6 feet.
Yes.
And it's a good thing
Actually, I
because
think they were made
that's
by
where I
AMC.
went.
Okay.
I don't think
you
they
said,
were Fords. They were AMCs.
I don't know. You said deuce and a half, and I thought of like after a really big steak dinner. Like I'm thinking something.
Right. So that somebody was like instead of an 080s, like a
'Cause I've roomed with
1.5 or a
Sean
2.0.
Yeah, exactly.
After buffet in Vegas.
That was a third. Yeah, so it was pretty obnoxious, the amount of rain. We've actually had some levees let go.
Dave said in the chat room, let's see if California is stupid enough to release this fresh water in the
Already
ocean.
going on.
Oh, it's already happening.
The answer is
Already
yes.
already
Yes.
happening. Yes.
Yes, so Dave,
Yeah.
don't be so silly, my friend.
knew
Yes,
it was
if it's
happening.
California, you know that's going to happen.
The best part, Folsom Lake is becoming too full. We need to release some of the water to say, wait, what?
Yeah, we didn't see that one coming. Hey, maybe it'll wash.
Billions of gallons.
Yes.
To flush
Yes.
the delta.
Yes.
Billions.
Well, maybe it could wash away the Delta smell.
The last 9?
Yeah, literally.
billions of gallons. Did I say billions of
Billions.
gallons?
By the way, Clint,
Yes.
how many gallons?
Billions.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because we have approved water projects from the 1970s
Just
in
sitting.
this state that they will not complete because of its environmental impact. Oh! I got a surprise Shaun segment.
Oh, I want to.
Surprise BZ.
I want to hear. I definitely want to hear.
And the environmental thing brought it up. But I want to get your reaction. The Army is looking to purchase green bullets.
Yes.
Environmentally friendly bullets that
love
when
this.
the round is discharged
I love this.
and the casing falls to the ground, it releases little seedlings
That create trees.
that
What?
creates trees.
No.
Now,
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Come on, be
this is
truthful.
100% truthful.
Get your internet up and start searching.
This is
This is
so
absolutely
asinine to
true.
me. I cannot believe that this is a concern. They would dare threaten any sort of ballistic value of a weapon in order
To plant trees.
To plant fucking trees. Ladies and gentlemen.
like trees are going to grow in the desert.
Hold on.
Hang on.
Me. Here we go. I don't know if you know the water content of the Middle East, and maybe they're doing this in preparation for our war with Russia, but I'm going to stick to where the current wars are.
Or in Mississippi. I don't know.
Shit don't grow there. And the shit that does grow there has a tendency to kill innocent people, it seems like.
Uh-huh.
Okay, this must be fake news, but it's on the internet, so it must be believable.
No.
It's true.
It is 100%.
No, I'm looking at it.
Oh, okay.
It says, Army getting green bullets that grow trees after use.
Ken says Chicago will be like a forest.
But it gets better.
Oh, please, let it get better. Let it get better.
New Army regulations also let soldiers wear the hijabs and their turbans.
Yes.
And beards.
Well,
Just like NYPD. NYPD just said that all the Sikhs can wear the turbans and the beards.
But this is the United States Army.
Military that has, and listen, the NYPD has always had strange grooming standards. They've allowed beards and a lot of other things for years on regular officers. So,
right, just look at Bo Dietl.
Yeah, exactly. So that doesn't shock me. The military.
Did you know he's going to run for New York mayor?
Yes.
He's going to lose, but good. You know who else? Hillary Clinton, probably.
That's a hands down. She's out for everything.
Thanks. You wait till I get a sip of Diet Pepsi in my mouth and say that. Thank you.
I was trying to crush that new microphone.
That's awesome. Nice microphone, by the way,
I've heard
That's a Shure 55S.
Yeah, it's gorgeous, isn't it? Now I feel like we have to buy new microphones.
Nah.
When we're getting upstaged in our own studio.
Here's the thing, right? It's like, so go back to like in the military.
Yes.
Right? The rookies always have the shiniest boots.
Yes.
They always have the shiniest brass.
Oh, God.
BZ has the awesomest microphone.
Well,
it's kind of right in line with that, right?
It's not any microphone. It's the 75-year commemorative edition of the Shure 55S.
It's a polished boot.
Whatever, new guy.
It's a polished silver boot.
Hey, Junior.
Hey, kid.
Just simmer down.
Kid, grown-ups are talking over here, all right?
Are you going to pull out a card table for me?
Are you going to go get coffee for us? Or what?
Go sit over there, Sonny.
Do me a favor. Go watch the car.
Yeah.
Make sure it doesn't...
FNG thinks he's just going to come in here and start yapping. Oh, you got a new microphone. No.
Clint's dying over there. He almost made the same mistake I did by taking a sip of coffee.
I almost did.
It's a gorgeous microphone, BZ. I mean that.
Legitimately, it is a beautiful microphone.
Just keep watching him. The next time he tries to go for a sip of coffee, say something.
Oh, trust me, I always do.
Yeah.
And it might just be that's a nice microphone, or with you as the backdrop, it might be that much nicer.
Ken says in the classroom. Ken says in the chat room, "You sure you want to make that coffee remark? We're going to start." Oh, wait. He says, "Does this mean the BZ carries the bags at Freedom Fest?"
Hey, hang on a second. I do want to say, I drink my coffee like I like my exceptional conservatives.
Black.
Strong and black.
Oh,
that's for you, Ken. Much love,
you know
brother.
What? Tell you what, we're going to rewind this. We're going to take that snippet out. We're going to edit it, and we're going to send that to Ken and let him use that in a promo for his show. Ken, you got that? That's coming. Don't think we're not going to do that.
Ken, you also still have to carry the bags at Freedom Fest.
We need to do this. This is Sackhead Clint, and I love my coffee how I love my exceptional conservatives. Strong and black. Here's to Ken.
Boom.
There you go.
All right.
You just
did a promo right there.
There's a promo for you, Ken.
You timed the commercial perfectly because we're moving on to the first subject. And it's green. Oh, that's me. Wait.
No.
Wait.
It's blue. That's me.
Thank God.
Use your.
Oh, I got to get my glasses on.
Get your glasses on.
There we go.
And look, this isn't really a segment. This is a discussion that I kind of wanted to have with you guys. And this is the name of the segment is MLK and the Civil Rights Movement, a high drama hijacking. And here's why I say that. Monday is Martin Luther King Day, and there are so there's marches and everything all over the country, but there's also counter marches now. Black Lives Matter
Yes.
is doing a counter-protest to MLK marches because they say that it's not pure anymore. They don't know what the hell that pure is. What's funny is a lot of these marches, like you look who's leading the march here in Sacramento, and it's like Darrell Steinberg.
Yes.
All these
white guys,
all these ultra liberal, yeah,
White
all
guys.
these ultra liberal white guys, and look, the left has perverted the civil rights movement. We talked about it
Yeah, a million
before
times.
here on the show.
Yep.
You know, you look at the time who the Republican Party was and who pushed the civil rights legislation through, who drove desegregation to the school. You look at what Eisenhower did in terms of forcing desegregation and sending the military in to enforce that. Yeah, he sat Earl Warren on the Supreme Court, which led the desegregation cases and so forth in the Supreme Court. And really the left takes credit because LBJ did one thing. He put his signature on it.
That's it.
Because he had no choice.
Well, exactly. And it's funny because it's almost the exact same civil rights bill that as a senator, he shot down.
Yes.
That was put forth by, hold on, wait. I got this somewhere. It wasn't the left and it wasn't Democrats. Who was it that put it?
It was the Republicans.
The president was Truman.
It was the Republicans.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It was the Republicans.
Republicans.
Those racist Republicans.
And so, look, you look at Martin Luther King, and Martin Luther King did a wonderful job. Martin Luther King said he owed no allegiance to any party. And look, there were some things he did want government to solve some problems, but you look at a lot of the core values and things he believed. He was for nonviolence. He was for equality for all. Mm-hmm. He didn't just talk about the plight of the black man or the African American man. I mean, that was certainly driving a lot of it.
No, he was inclusive.
He was inclusive. He
Very
talked
much
about
so.
equal justice for everyone.
Yeah.
And equal opportunity for everyone. Not equal result for everyone.
Exactly.
But equal opportunity for everyone.
Well,
he said things like the function of education is to teach one to think intensively and think critically. Intelligence plus character. That is the goal of true education. You say that today in front of a school board, and they're going to think that is a hardcore right-wing Republican.
They'll find out where you live and put protesters on your front yard.
Yeah, until you say that was Dr. Martin Luther King that said that, and then they'll completely backpedal.
And then they'll call you a hijacker and say that's not what he meant.
That's right. That's not what he meant.
That's not
history.
What he meant. Look,
you just wrote that.
And there's a reason I want to go through a few of these quotes. He says, human progress is neither automatic nor inevitable. Every step toward the goal of justice requires sacrifice, suffering, and struggle, the tireless exertions and passionate concern of dedicated individuals. He talks about the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands in times of challenge and controversy. Love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend. In the end, we will not remember the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. Very inspirational man. You look at another person who was kind of in the civil rights, big in the civil rights movement. That's Malcolm X.
Yep.
And I wanted to contrast Dr. Martin Luther King a little bit with Malcolm X, because the left loves to mention Martin Luther King and celebrate Martin Luther King, as they should.
Absolutely.
He should be celebrated. He did so much.
Celebrate actually in his honor and not in just a hijack.
Right, absolutely. We know the left has hijacked the civil rights movement. They claim the Republicans are the racists and all this other stuff. And look, I'm not begrudging the Democrats from celebrating Martin Luther King's legacy. I think they should. I think everybody should. He was such an important figure in our history and what he did for such a large segment of our population, and how he really helped to transform the character of our nation. And he spoke about character exhaustively. Character was a huge deal. You know, judge a man not by the color of his skin, but by the content of his character. That works both ways. That's for whites, blacks, Hispanics, Asians. It doesn't matter. Everybody. He was very inclusive of everybody. Here's what Malcolm X said about Dr. King. He said, quote, "I want Dr. King to know that I didn't come to Selma to make his job difficult. I really did come thinking I would make it easier. If the white people realize what his alternative is, perhaps they will be more willing to hear Dr. King. And the reason he said that is because Malcolm X was an advocate for violence. Malcolm X was a violent extremist. He was a revolutionary. He thought violence was an acceptable means to an end, and he wasn't for all-inclusiveness. He was for justice as he saw it for his race
near the
only.
End. And I think after he saw the impact that Dr. King had on the movement, did he start to reform slightly?
Slightly, but
Right.
it's not. But
at
it's
the
not
time-
the same when
but-
you're talking about this.
No, absolutely not
at all.
But that's one of the reasons they said that he was killed, is because he was reforming, and the extremists that he developed and the groups that he started to get going were angry at him for doing so. So it shows you, even if you start to reform, that past can catch up to you.
Yeah.
Historical sidebar. Did you guys know that Malcolm X's family in the past have accused Louis Farrakhan of having
Yes.
being implicit
Yes, I've
Yeah.
seen
in
that.
Malcolm X's assassination?
Involved.
He was killed by a fellow black man.
Yes.
He was, and I want to say something else about him too. Here's what Malcolm X said about Dr. King getting the Nobel Peace Prize. He said this, and this quote kind of really kind of sticks out with me. He says, "He got the Peace Prize. We got the problem. If I'm following a general and he's leading me into a battle, and the enemy tends to give him rewards or awards, I get suspicious of him, especially if he gets a peace award before the war is over."
Right.
Very,
That's
very telling.
Well, and it's
Who
not...
does that sound like?
Exactly.
Who does that sound like
Exactly.
to you? Let's think about this.
Yeah.
Who got an award before the war was over?
Well, not only that, but you look at some of the rhetoric of
yeah.
Malcolm X.
Oh, you see it very clearly.
Yeah.
But we've made that association in the past, and how and I know when we've talked about this in years past, coming up on Martin Luther King Day, the severe divide between what Malcolm X was doing at the time and what Martin Luther King wanted done, and how he was leading, and the people that were following him, and what his dream actually was, and how perverted it has gotten. And even though that his own flesh and blood go out and try to tell people the truth all the time, people deny it to the hilt, which is just crazy to me.
What's a commentary that JFK these days would now be considered a far right winger?
Yes.
And that Martin Luther King would be considered a moderate or a sellout?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
they'd call him Uncle Tom. And not because of the people he surrounded him with, but because of his beliefs.
There are no more, for example, Zell Millers in the Democrats. There are no more Joe Liebermans in the Democrats. They're gone.
Yeah. There's no more Tip O'Neills.
Who was actually pretty much of a hoot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I want to read you this other quote from Malcolm X. It says, "Last but not least, I must say this concerning the great controversy over rifles and shotguns. The only thing I've ever said is that in areas where the government has proven itself either unwilling or unable to defend the lives and the property of Negroes, not everybody, like Martin Luther King would say, but Negroes, it's time for Negroes to defend themselves. Article number 2 of the constitutional amendments provides you and me the right to own a rifle or shotgun. It is constitutionally legal to own a shotgun or a rifle. This doesn't mean you're going to get a rifle and form battalions and go out looking for white folks, although you'd be within your rights. I mean, you'd be justified."
Move the flagpoles. Right? All you have to do is just move the flagpoles. When you're condoning that it's okay to target certain groups from a pulpit, I mean, he had a humongous following.
Yeah.
It was very scary. Very scary.
Yep. Hey, you ever hear Malcolm X when he talked about blending the cup of coffee? If it's too strong or black, you pour cream into it, and eventually it kind of softens it up enough. So it talks, basically, he was preaching against race mixing, and he says the common enemy is the white man. Look, I bring this up because the left loves to celebrate. You look at Malcolm X had the quote also, "Hey, by any means necessary." You look at what a radical leftist group today is, bam,
Any means necessary.
By any means necessary.
Yep.
Right there from the Malcolm X quote. And the ultra-left flocks to Malcolm X, and you look at a lot of the tactics and so forth and the things that he was preaching, and that's what they're preaching today, right? The Antifa groups, the BAM, and so forth. And Martin Luther King is kind of celebrated, but now we have groups like Black Lives Matter because Martin Luther King was too soft.
Yeah.
Well, see, here's the interesting thing.
It's been hijacked by the whites.
Either
they say.
the Black Lives Matter is either a movement or it isn't, depending on who you're talking to and whether anything bad is associated with BLM. Because you can speak to many actors who are saying, well, BLM, Black Lives Matter, said pigs in a blanket. Mm-hmm. And the response to that is customarily, well, no, that was just one particular time, and that's not
everybody.
And that's not what they believe in, and that's not everybody.
Right.
Really interesting how that works.
Yeah,
it's mind-boggling.
It's very mind-boggling. But Martin Luther King, he believed in a fixed moral law.
Yes,
and that's something that it's funny to me how the conservatives don't really talk about MLK or MLK Day like they should. You look at, like I spoke of it earlier, who's leading this march here in Sacramento? It's Darrell Steinberg, right? A ultra-liberal Democrat. I have some issues with the man because of some things I've heard him say personally. But he is leading this march. Have you heard any conservatives come out and talk about Martin Luther King Day or have any plan? I haven't.
I have not.
And maybe there are some, but why is the left allowed to own this? They shouldn't. The left does not believe in a fixed moral law. And that's my belief, and I can say that because you look at legislation and agendas that the left has pushed.
Yep.
They don't believe in a fixed moral law. The left
everything is flexible. Everything is
morality
gray.
is flexible because once you say that morality is flexible, you can now change the compass of what morality is and change a society fundamentally.
Yes.
That's not by design. So, the right believes that in a fixed moral law. They don't believe in nonviolence. They don't believe freedom is dependent upon civic responsibility.
Well, moving the goalpost is in terms of what
does.
Emotions are playing that day.
It does, right? Well, they play to the emotions. King was talking about how racial judgment is itself inherently unjust. Mm-hmm. The left doesn't believe that. You can't be a victim of a hate crime, or it's very, 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 very difficult to be a victim of a hate crime if you're white.
And people have said that blacks are not racist. They cannot be racist.
Everybody can be racist. Anybody can be racist.
No, that's not true.
So I guess my rant and wrapping up. I know we're getting ready to head to a break, but the right, the Republican Party, the conservatives in this country need to come out and identify with Dr. King.
Yes,
just like the Republicans did back when Dr. King was on the stump, giving his speeches and hosting the rallies and so forth, and stop letting the left hijack this. I really think it's a disservice and a dishonor to Dr. King's memory.
I wholeheartedly agree. I think it's more than that. I think it's a slap to the face of Dr. King and everybody who stood with him. Mm-hmm. And fought for equality and oftentimes risked their lives. I mean, it was a tumultuous time. It was, and you had all these people who were of the same mind as Dr. King.
And it was the Democrats in the South who were supporting the KKK and so forth, who were trying to
undo it.
And that Robert Byrd, what a great guy he was.
We were close friend to Hillary Clinton. Very close.
Yes, very close.
Yeah.
Pictures of them making out online.
It was Mark Lamont Hill, by the way.
Out?
What?
They were making out?
Well, they were smooching.
It was Mark Lamont Hill, by the way, professor at Morehouse, who said that blacks can't be racist. It's impossible for
Physically
blacks.
impossible.
Can't
Ken brought that up, so lucky for him, he doesn't have to deal with that stress. Folks, we're going up against a break here on the Sackheads Radio Show. When we come back, Senate confirmation hearings and more right here on the Sackheads Radio Show, live on the SHR Media Network. Stick around or get the hell out.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website and click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guide. Because truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians.
You got a business. You didn't build that.
A team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Shaun.
Dude, I'm not saying copy is stupid, bro.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on SHRmedia.com.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reaver of Common Sense show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on SHRmedia.com and HighPlainsDailyNews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much for sticking around with us here in the second half hour. Hey, it's not going as quick as it normally does. We're going to jump in.
You know what?
No, what?
Shaun.
What?
Listen.
What?
I don't know why, but I
know why.
I know why too. I know why too.
You need to tell everyone.
So
what he does in his personal time led to this.
What's wrong with that?
I'm just not judging.
I have the perfect porn star name for Shaun. We need to dress him up in a logging outfit, like a lumberjack outfit, and call him the Boston Lager.
Boston Lager.
The Boston Lager.
Boston Lager.
That is Shaun's porn name for anybody. It's gay porn, but we're not going to judge.
Which is why Clint thought of it.
Which is why I thought of it.
Okay, so what is your porn name? I know what mine is. Now, when you say porn name, it includes, to me, it includes the name of your first pet.
Confirmation hearings.
The name of your first pet.
Marty.
And the name of your first treat.
Cliffside.
My porn name is Squeaky Rainbow.
Apparently, you'll be starting a new movie with me.
Squeaky Rainbow and the Boston Lager.
Oh, that's awesome.
Or a wrestler, like one of those WWE wrestling.
The Boston
Lager. Not like porn name better, sorry.
I just come out drunk and pass out in the mat.
And the guy jumps on top and pins you. It could be a porn movie, too.
He's 0 for 70. Oh, listen. Agador has a really good one, too. Apparently his porn name is Butch Everest.
How appropriate these days.
By the way, 11 days into the new year and Texas has already killed somebody.
God love him.
Wonderful.
God love him.
Lawfully, through legal injection. I just wanted to clear that.
We talk really quick. We talk about airports and security, and obviously this past week that's come up. And airports are supposed to be pretty tight with their security if they're above a certain class, right? If you're a little rural county airport, it's different than if you're in a major metropolitan.
Yeah, if you're flying Cessnas.
Right. So the Detroit police responded to a call today at the Coleman A. Young Airport after an air traffic controller spotted something on the runway at noon local time, 5 hours after sunup. It was a body. Only in Detroit. What? It was a dead body.
Someone discarded
Only in Detroit.
A perfectly good body.
Can you get in the middle
or Chicago?
Don't they know they're supposed to leave him in the damn trunks in the parking lot?
In the middle of a runway.
Was it a passenger? Was it a stowaway?
They haven't said.
Upon landing, like he falls out of the landing gear?
I don't know.
Is it Jimmy Hoffa?
It may have been dumped there, it looks like.
Obviously. Obviously. I don't think it miracled itself there.
Like a sack full of dead puppies, it just fell out.
Right.
I just thought that was the strangest story. Major airport. Dead body on the runway. At noon.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the sun
Nothing to
came
see.
up and it was there.
Obviously, it was Detroit. 'Cause if it were Chicago, there'd be 7 dead bodies.
And if it was driving around, if it came from a car, who's driving around and goes, let's dump it in the airport?
Nobody will ever find it here.
No one will ever think to
And
look
wait a
there.
second. If this is noon, how many planes took off and landed
over the damn thing?
Over the body. And why didn't any pilot say anything?
I'm not getting involved. That's none of my business. I just land planes.
It's autopilot does everything. I was banging the stewardess.
Friends help friends do stuff. Really good friends help other people remove dead bodies. So that must have been a good friend.
Dear friend of theirs. Let's move on to the Senate confirmation hearings that are occurring this week. The biggest one that the left is going after so far. Well, there's two. They're all going after all of them.
They're all going back.
The gloves
crazy.
are off.
Come on.
But the biggest complaint so far that really has been out there about Jeff Sessions is the fact that his background check wasn't completed before the confirmation hearing started. Which, honestly, if that's what you're going after, if that's what the highlight of it all is going to be, not a lot there, huh? You have Cory Booker.
Oh, God, don't even. Oh, you're going to go
going
there.
to testify against. The first time a sitting senator being confirmed is being testified by another senator, or testified against another senator. Mike Pasqua in the chat room has a great porn name, Chuck Hump.
No.
That's great. So this douchebag senator is going to be testifying against
Sessions. Yeah. First time ever, unprecedented. When we go back to disruption and listen, I understand that he can legally do so. I fully support the ability to do that.
Uh-huh.
And can you imagine if any Republican had done this to any one of Obama's picks? What the news would be saying right now. I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm not saying he can't do it.
Right.
I'm not even saying he shouldn't do it per se.
Right,
If
but
he feels-
just the optics of it.
The optics alone are driving me insane on this one.
Cory Booker is what I would call lower than whale feces at the bottom of the Marianas Trench.
That's a pretty deep trench. Big Mouth Patriots, Fluffy Arlington, Kel Fritzy has Lady Sin. See, now we're starting to get to
see, I knew when I said that. I knew that the chat roll would just pick that up and run with it.
Mine is Baron Ames.
Next 30 minutes, live on the SHR Media Network. Send in your porn star name. Sorry, folks.
Cory Booker, if you don't remember, is the guy that once praised Jeff Sessions for working with him to honor civil rights activists.
Yes.
Yeah.
So here's the deal with Cory Booker, in my humble opinion. I think Cory Booker was a person who got into politics for the right reason, and then he started getting groomed. Because if you look back to Mayor
he wants to be president.
If you look back to Mayor Cory Booker in New Jersey, he was a much different politician than he is now. He stayed out of the fray. You
probably have much more intimate knowledge about that from that localized area about his background.
And I followed him. I mean, I had to say that he was doing things like he would go out and ride with the police department to see what their challenges were, to be able to try to equip them better, both through training and all. But he was there to actually learn. And when he wrote about it and gave interviews about it, it was all positive things he was saying about his department. He was the guy who, at 3 o'clock in the morning, if there was a house on fire, would show up and try to coordinate food and housing for the people. Like, when he started off, before he got touched by the Democrat machine, per se, he was a different person. And then the grooming happened. Mm-hmm. He got shoulder tapped. All of a sudden, he ran to become senator. And the man he was when he was a mayor became totally different. Because even though I didn't agree with his politics as a mayor, I actually gave him accolades several times. And we were on the air for a lot of those times because he did really good things for that city, and it was a horrendous city that he was trying to make legitimate change in for the better of the people. And then he got touched by a leftist. I don't know if it was in the back room of like a Caldor. I don't know where it was, but somebody came up and gave him the tap, and he's becoming this monster. He's literally picking up where Obama's leaving off, in my opinion.
Well, it was only last year. It was 2016 when Booker partnered with Sessions to award the Congressional Gold Medal to those people that participated in 1965 Voting Rights March from Selma to Montgomery.
Yes.
So then from just last year, from February of last year, what happened? I don't know the answer. I'm simply asking.
The Democrats started to lose, and now they need to go on the assault, which I know we will get into.
So he's being a team player.
I think he's being more...
He's being a melanin team player.
I think he's being more than that. I think he is becoming a true believer, Kool-Aid drinking, absolute toe-stepping, goose-stepping, if you will, hardcore leftist. He no longer thinks on his own. If you look at everything, every interview he gives now, every speech he gives, it is all down the line. He is picking up and carrying the torch where others have started to get out of the way or retire or not get elected or whatever. He is that uber leftist now. He is Obama before Obama became Obama. He will, and I mark my words with Cory Booker, you will start seeing him all over the place for the left now. They are going to use him because, and when I tell you that it comes down to power with the left, and I wholeheartedly mean this, they looked at this election. We all know they haven't learned anything, any of the lessons they should have learned this election. They haven't learned, which is, we'll get into that in the next section.
Well, the media is right along with them.
Well, that's why. That's the reason. So I guarantee you that the Democrats are sitting around saying, well, we couldn't get a white woman elected. Let's go back to a black guy. Mm-hmm. They're going to play on the emotion yet again.
Well, and everyone realizes Obama's not going away.
Oh, no. He's going to be right there.
He's renting a mansion, literally a mansion, in D.C.
Yep.
My post tomorrow is going to be that he's putting up a wall.
Yes.
Now, walls for Mexico, bad. Walls around Obama, good. Guns in the possession of citizens, bad. Guns protecting Obama, good.
Good, yep. Absolutely. And you will see Obama and Cory Booker spend a lot of time together.
I'm certain of that now. I wasn't quite cognizant of how in tune, I suppose you could say, he is in terms of... I knew that he wanted, his whole thingy was he does want to be president someday, but I didn't realize how soon and with what grace he's going to be anointed.
Well, look at the Democrats got a first-term senator elected last time. So,
well, and the other thing is, look at what they have. What do they have to offer? Old, doddering white people,
right,
and one half black guy,
right,
who's not going away,
right.
Yep.
So what's the future? It's either you embrace him, or you go back and embrace all the people like Pelosi, and,
which you can't do.
And
you have
Clinton,
to start. I've said this before.
No, they're gone.
If you're the Democrats, you have to get away from the Nancy Pelosi's, because as crazy as Nancy Pelosi is, she doesn't come out with that militant left approach. She comes out as progressive lunacy, but she's not militant left. Now, she is in her actions, but when she speaks to constituents and people, she's not as militant as they want their spokesman to be, or spokeswoman. So you have to start, if you're the left and you want to keep pushing this crazy narrative, you have to get rid of Nancy Pelosi and Dianne Frankenstein, because they're goofy progressives, but that stage is gone for them now. They've gone to this militant left progressivism, where it is, if you're not with us, you're against us, and we will upstage you however we can. And we're starting to see that with these Senate confirmations. So that was Sessions. And I think that's the biggest news. And now, listen, Sessions is going to pass.
Well, here's the deal. We all know why Sessions, people want to go against him. I think Sessions is already getting pushback. I don't think you're going to have to worry much about him passing.
Right.
Their biggest fear about Sessions is that he'll actually do his job. Whereas before...
how many Democrats may get caught into that?
Well, that's the issue. Trump said that he's not going to be looking after prosecuting Hillary Clinton. The magic, massive, unstated sentence in that is Sessions may. Not entirely impossible.
Well, and I said that, though, when he made that comment. Hey, I'm not going to be the one going after her. No. You're right. He's not.
And see, the assumption previously with the AG office under Holder and Lynch
is that the president made that decision.
Is that being racist and not prosecuting certain shite is not a glitch; it's a feature.
Well, but I've also said too that I think that we're so confused in this country as to where those decisions to prosecute and not prosecute come from. For the last 8 years, it's always come from the White House, whereas reality, it should come from the AG down. Now, I know the AG works for the White House in some ways, but they don't. The White House isn't supposed to be making operational decisions in that regard as to who to prosecute and who now. And people are so damn confused in this country because of what we've seen. They assume that Sessions just does what Trump is going to tell him to do, which is not how it is supposed to work.
No, you're supposed to be independent.
Right.
You're supposed to be independent to the point where all the local USAs all around the net.
That, right?
Well, all the local USAs put in their letters of resignation.
Yep.
Yes, but you look at who changed that. A lot of that, not who changed it, but who practiced the political. I don't even want to say activism, really, but from the White House, that was Obama. Obama led his Justice Department. He didn't allow them to do. He knew the outcome of the Hillary Clinton investigation. He knew. With Loretta Lynch in there and with Eric Holder in there. Look at the scandals that the DOJ has been involved with, whether it's Eric Holder and Fast and Furious and contempt of Congress, Loretta Lynch meeting with Bill Clinton.
It just goes on and on.
It goes on and on. And you're right, it shouldn't be that way. But will it be that way? I don't know. Look, Trump's smart enough to say, I'm not going to go after Hillary Clinton. But he's also smart enough to say, I can't tell my Department of Justice not to do its job.
And if Sessions decides to do that,
right?
All right. That's his decision to make.
And no matter who was in that position, because Agador was just talking about Cruz would have been not been a shill, and that's why he wished he chose him for AG. No matter who gets put into that situation, they're going to be accused by the left of all of these horrific things that just aren't true because of what the left of the media has created over the last 8 years. You could put the most innocent, true to the law person with zero political contacts ever in that position, and the left would absolutely eviscerate them as being a shill. So,
well, yes, and per Aventa thought they'd be independently considered, depending upon the time and the issue, racist, sexist, any ist or ob that you want to say, depending upon the temper of the times and the issue.
And that being said, I certainly would have had no issue with Ted Cruz being the AG. I really wouldn't have. I think he would have done
Ted Cruz would have been good on SCOTUS.
Yes, I still believe that.
He clerked for a Supreme Court jurist.
So that wasn't, for clarification, that wasn't an anti-Cruz comment at all. It was an anti-left comment as to who, no matter who you put in there, they would have tried to devour them.
Right.
Which in the next session, in the next segment rather, we're going to talk about why they may not get the devouring that they want on these picks because they're getting pushback from many different ways. So then you also had the energy appointee. I always screw up his name. Tillerman?
Oh, no, you mean Secretary of State?
Tillerson, Secretary of State, thank you. And people are just going absolutely crazy about his time.
Marco Rubio today essentially said that Tillerson is too conciliatory to Russia. In response, Tillerson said, I'm waiting to see what the actual evidence is because I do not have access to that classified information. To which Marco Rubio said in response, well, it's been all over the media. You don't need to be a brilliant person to understand what's going on with Russia. Do you think Putin is a wonderful guy? Do you think he doesn't have people killed? To which Tillerson responded again in kind, well, as far as I know, there's no direct evidence linking Putin to a gun in his hand. Mm-hmm. Well, damn Tillerson for being factual and just waiting until he has the information in, which is all I think Trump is essentially saying,
yes,
and which is essentially all I've been saying.
Right.
But it's not convenient. Isn't it funny that now, when it's a chance to throw a turd in the face of Donald Trump, that the Republicans are going to pick it up? Marco Rubio, who I had much more respect for,
as did I,
picked up the turd and decided he was going to run with it.
Well, he wasn't just going to fling it. He's coloring with it.
Yeah.
Well, and Lindsey Graham.
The Democrats will pick it up and fling it. Right. But Lindsey Graham, John McCain. They're coloring with it.
Wait until you hear about John McCain. But in any event, Tillerson
they signed their names with it.
Made what I consider to be logical, cogent replies to those questions. Yeah. What he's saying is, I'm taking a wait-and-see attitude because I don't have access to all the evidence and the facts yet.
Well, and you look at some of the media commercials that are out there right now with this, and they're going after Tillerson for his time that he worked for, was it Exxon? I think it was Exxon when he was in the oil.
Well, he was CEO of Exxon Mobil. Yeah. Okay, again, this drives me insane. Why would you not want a Secretary of State who knows how to negotiate by way of the number 2 largest oil company in the world, has been to every country, knows how to get what is best for his corporation, knows how to deal with governments, knows how to cut contracts, and you don't want him in to negotiate and be the representative of the United States of America? How daft are you?
Hang on.
He's done it already.
Hang on a second.
I have to point this out for a second.
Go ahead, because I was about to. Go ahead.
There's only one red beaded face chubby guy around here, and that's going to be me. So you keep your blood pressure down over there, young man.
Yeah.
All right? I'm only allowed to turn that color red.
Yeah. And hang on a second, BZ. Now, I know there's a screen here and so forth, but I can see you through this gap right here. We'll call this a loophole. I got spittle peppered on the left side of my face as your finger was thrusting up and down.
By the way, that's my move.
In all directions.
He's stealing my move.
He is. I have the bladed forefinger chop hand. I have knife hand. You have finger point.
I'm going to have to clean up the microphone then, I think, probably. Somebody hand me a Kleenex.
It looks like you pissed yourself. You have so much spittle coming off your face.
Oh, that's just the beginning. Wait until we get into the 9 o'clock segment.
Yeah,
my.
Hey, wait till we get into BZ's segment.
Yeah, no kidding,
this
right?
This is Sean's bit.
Oh,
my. So my last point about Tillerson that I want to make is they're running commercials right now about his time in Exxon. They're showing all these different sound bites, and one of them is when he was speaking, he said, hey, I'm not here to represent the interest of the United States. I'm here to represent the interest of Exxon. No shit, he was the damn CEO of Exxon. He can't speak for the United States. And so they're going after him for things like that. When we've talked about this with people from the private sector doing things to better their company, right? Oh, he doesn't do things for America. Well, he only does things for the corporate people. That was
his job.
That is his damn job.
And you're about to give him a job for the United States. Now, if you think he worked well for ExxonMobil and did his job, then it would seem to me that he'd take that exact same excitement and verve for his job as Secretary of State, because that's who he has to represent.
And at least
now.
he knows his roles.
Right.
He knows where he is.
He's a negotiator.
Yeah.
He knows how to sit mano a mano with two people and get the best deal possible.
I just thought it was absolutely amazing, the things that they were... they're running commercial ads about this. Call your senator. Tell them not to confirm.
They're going to do that with whoever Donald Trump puts up.
But my other thing about the left is, where's all this money coming from? We just came out of this huge election cycle where you spent billions of dollars and you're still digging up money to fight things like this.
Well, and Obama is going out fundraising again.
Again.
Why? What's he going to run for? Mayor?
He's going to run for Imperial
Grand Wizard of the United Nations.
I don't know if that's what it's called.
That's not what it's called?
Can we Google that? Let's
Imperial Grand Wizard of the United Nations. Hang on, I'm looking.
I don't know if that's exactly...
That's the IGMUN, isn't it?
Imperial...
Ken in chat said, regarding my frothing, he said, clean up on aisle 7.
Oh, 8 and 9. All of them, actually. We're going to see this for the next couple of weeks. Every single person that's going to get confirmed. Like I said, he could choose Mother Teresa, and they would call her an extremist.
Now, hang on a second. I have irrefutable proof that the United Nations is run by the KKK.
Okay, let's go for it.
So I put in a Google search.
Oh, boy.
Imperial Grand Wizard of the United Nations. And it came up Imperial Clans with a K of America. Official site. Number 1 hit. Number 1 hit.
Well, Google can't be wrong.
Number 2 hit, Imperial Wizard and MS Grand Dragon speech in August of 2016. The next hit is Who is the Imperial Wizard of the KKK? Irrefutable proof. I search for Imperial Grand Wizard of the United Nations, it gives me Imperial Grand Wizard of the KKK. And we all know how freaking smart Google is.
Well, that's right. What they say goes, mister.
Yeah, you get one of their devices in your home, they'll freaking order toys for you from the television.
Hey, you want to hear something funny?
Did you hear that?
Yeah. I get a guy who I worked with. His name's Ed. And Ed's a black guy who has the local number for the KKK saved to his phone, and he calls them almost daily to remind them that he's black and still free, and then laughs for literally 30 seconds and hangs up for him. I was there for one of the phone calls. I love that. One of my favorite things. I hugged him for
genius.
that. He's like, every single day when I get bored, I'm like, let's call the KKK and say hi. I was like, that's brilliant. He's like, do you know how long it took me to find the phone number?
I love the response that somebody had at Alexa, where they said, well, Alexa's not listening to you. She doesn't do anything until you say, hello, Alexa.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute, you blithering idiot. How do you think it listened to you say, hello, Alexa?
Well, and here's my favorite part.
To you.
I have one. And you can set the settings on it to not buy. You can actually set the settings on it for everything. I will tell you right now, I am going to buy like 5 more. I love it. I use it for everything. I use it all the time.
Do you have an Xbox One?
Yep.
It's built in. Why are you buying more? You download Alexa. The look on your face right now is beautiful.
I know that, but Alexa isn't in the other room.
Not Alexa, Alexa.
Shut up. Shut up. Jesus. Shut up, rabbit.
Holy cow.
Wait a minute. In response, I'm expecting a nose comment.
I don't need to make one when I'm in the middle of ducking one.
Dave Milner says Alexa isn't a she.
It is in my house.
She sure is in my house.
Yeah.
She's the only one that listens to me.
Oh,
that's why I know Alexa's a she in my house.
Meanwhile, all the women in chat.
It's the only she I can boss around.
Alexa, turn this song on. You goddamn right you will.
Yeah.
What was that? Nothing, honey.
Alexa, make me dinner.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't cook?
Alexa, order me dinner.
Hey, honey. Can you please heat me up some soup? No? Fuck me? Okay, I'll do it.
I was just getting up anyway.
I was just kidding.
We're up against the break when we come back.
Kel says in chat, what's that, Ken? I wasn't listening.
When we come back, Intel, Russia, and Media. Oh, my. Right here on the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Shaun from the Sackheads Radio Show, also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press Radio, and YouTube through the SHR Media page for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
A team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Shaun.
Dude, I'm not saying Captain stupid, bro.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sako as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on SHRmedia.com.
The bloviating Zeppelin. He's big-footed enough radio shows to last a lifetime, courtesy of Shaun, Clint, Ken, and Jersey Joe. Now it's time for him to waddle on his own 2 feet via the glorious SHR Media. Gird thy loins for the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon. Coming soon to ossicles near you. Excelsior.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. BZ,
are you gonna tell us about what you talked about out there?
Which part?
God God dang it! Now that I just blanked. Okay. I was going to come in here and say that.
We were talking about Alexa outside for a few minutes, and then what happened? I don't remember.
Oh, dang.
And at your age, I don't expect you to remember. So I don't know.
That's not going to happen.
I don't even know why we put that on you. I'm sorry.
Why did you guys hire me anyway?
We needed the money.
Wait, you hired us, technically.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Wait a minute.
No. I like this idea of him thinking he works
that
for us.
audition with soft shoe I had to go through, and then I had to wear the cleats. Then you had to
heels.
have you.
We call those heels.
Heels,
Yeah, those are called heels.
And then you gave me the exercise why I had to put the hose on the chicken.
Yes, and that.
Do you know how tough that was?
Yeah, well, and that's the part you failed. It wasn't supposed to go on the chicken.
I really wish we clarified that before, because that turned out much different.
Have you ever tried to get hose over a chicken's claws?
Hose. Hose. I see where we went wrong. I should have gotten the material for him.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Let's move right along to the big board of topics.
Or Spanx. You ever tried to put Spanx on a chicken? That's tough.
Did you just say, have I ever tried to spank a chicken? I've choked one.
Intel Russia Media, oh my. And we're going to get deep into this because it's probably going to go kind of long. BZ, sir, this is your topic. Take it away.
Yesterday I wrote a post.
Mr. EAP.
And it that's what we were going to talk about. You were going to refer me to EAP. That's right.
I knew exactly what it was.
Oh my God, I do have a memory. Only when prodded.
But who needs EAP when we have whiskey?
Exactly.
Well, yeah. Like I said,
it's right up there.
We need to do the drunk show very soon.
As
soon as we can get a motel room.
Yeah.
Somewhere where we don't have
not
to
together.
drive.
Not together.
No.
Just for the record. No. Not together.
Right.
Because that's creepy.
Not
Go on.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, not again with the lager. Please, go on, folks.
Wait a minute. Do you mean Boston Lager, Logger, or Lager, Lager?
You're killing me, Smalls.
Well, it's a play on.
Moving right along.
All right. This story came out in the Washington Post yesterday. It said intelligence chiefs briefed Trump and Obama on unconfirmed claims Russia has compromising information on President-elect. And it said a classified report delivered to President Obama and President-elect Donald Trump last week included a section summarizing allegations that Russian intelligence services have compromising material and information on Trump's personal life and finances, U.S. officials said. It's a fairly long article. It keeps on going. Basically what it says is, if true, the information suggests that Moscow has been assembling damaging information known in espionage circles by the Russian term kompromat, which comes from compromise, that conveniently should be used to coerce the next occupant of the White House. The claims were presented in a two-page, all of 2 pages, summary attached to the full report and addendum that also included allegations of ongoing contact between members of Trump's inner circle and representatives of Moscow. It really is an interesting article. You read that, and then it sources back to a site called BuzzFeed. Mm-hmm. We'll get there in time. This is all intertwined, and it all happened within the past couple of days. Now, it's no surprise for people that have been listening to the show, reading my blog, that you can place me into the category of being skeptical about the Russian hacking of the American election, which resulted in the defeat of good old Hillary. So what occurred in bringing this up is the Democrats tried throwing every possible excuse onto the political wall in order to see what's going to stick. And they started with the recounts for Hillary Clinton.
Yes.
Under the pretext of there being for Jill Stein. Yes. So it was Jill Stein doing it, but actually it was there to benefit Hillary Rodham Clinton.
The Hill Dog.
Right. And so what else was an excuse? Talk radio, Fox News, the Electoral College, FBI Director James Comey, misogyny on the part of females. What the hell? Fake news to encompass the Drudge Report, which, as I've said thousands of times, is nothing but an aggregator of news sites. Matt Drudge hasn't actually written anything in probably 10 years or more. And it takes all those news, and the sources for the Drudge Report are a shock. They're CNN, the Washington Post, the New York Times, the Baltimore Sun, the Boston Globe, the LA Times, and all that. So if Drudge is a fake report or fake site promoting fake news, then all those other news sites
are
equally fake as well. So
I will argue that the Globe is very much, in fact, fake. But go on.
Well, and again, you would know about that.
I will
having
argue
been
that
there.
CNN is fake also.
Yes.
And that, this is one of those times where I wish we had that later on, that thing queued up of the news conference today.
Oh, what an
Donald Trump.
amazing news conference.
It was, we'll be getting to that. But basically what's happened is the American media maggots, what I call the press, have lost their gatekeeper status.
Yes.
And they're desperate to lock it back up again. They're frightened, they're quaking to their very core because they are losing control. And they're losing cash. They're hemorrhaging readers and bleeding cash. So the theme that somehow Russia hacked the election and not only favored Donald Trump to win has people that are protagonists and antagonists. And I was placed clearly in the skeptical category. But then, all right, this article comes out, and initially the source was a couple of months ago. Judge Napolitano and some other people were saying that the NSA was actually responsible for the hacking and providing the information to WikiLeaks because the NSA, Hillary Clinton had compromised Gamma-class intel.
Yes.
And Gamma-class intel, ladies and gentlemen, if you just tuned in, is the very highest intelligence possible. So the NSA essentially took umbrage to the revelation that she had leaked all of this information, decided that they were going to go directly to Julian Assange. Well, Julian Assange all along has said that Russians are not the actors who are responsible for this. Then there was a tech site that I referred to, which also said the information with all the... You can read the article. I'm not a geek. I don't get it. But basically what they're saying is the tech info from the source is such that it's Ukraine-based, but it doesn't indicate that it's coming directly from Russia as an actor. Then here's the other deal. Hillary Rodham Clinton said that she would like to provide a drone strike against Julian Assange.
Yes.
So,
well, it's the party of peace.
As far as I'm concerned, that seems to me to be a wonderful motivator for Julian Assange to decide that he's going to do whatever it is that he can against Hillary Rodham Clinton. In other words, I don't think that he's going to be getting a Christmas card from her.
Well, you know what? That would be funny if he sent one to her,
so to speak.
It would no Christmas card. Just because people in that situation.
That's like the black guy calling up the KKK. That's wonderful. I like that. Then here's the other thing. All the conflicts started coming out. All the eruptions of conflicting information. The FBI said that the Russians were not responsible. Then Obama said the Russians were not responsible. Then a UK diplomat said the Russians are not responsible. Then Assange said the Russians are not responsible. And the party line all along has been that 17 intelligence agencies say Russia was the source. And yet everybody all along, myself included, has said, all right, pony up the evidence.
Right.
And they did. In spades. They turned it all over. And Putin admitted to the whole thing.
Right.
And the Democrats were right. And people said they voted for him because of that, and voting machines were tampered with, and the election results were skewed forever.
Well, see, what the Democrats are trying to provide is the meme that the CIA, Brennan, Clapper as the DNI.
Clint. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
BZ. Just every once in a while, he still gets me.
No.
You would think after all this time I'd be kind of like used to it, but every once in a while he still gets me.
I love you.
I was just waiting for that.
This is a time where we're like, we need to make out and go into the corner for a little while.
I knew that was going to happen. The lights are right over there. If you just turn them down, I can read from the illumination of the laptop.
Yes. Go on. Not about the lights. I mean, the story.
I was going to get up and turn off the lights. I thought you'd say, okay, he wants the lights off. All right, okay, I can do that.
Bring out the logger.
That's right. Bring out the GIMP. All right, what movie?
God,
History
Bruce
of the World.
Willis. No. Bruce Willis was in it.
Yeah, come on.
John Travolta.
Chat
Samuel
room.
Jackson.
What movie?
No, Pulp Fiction.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, but the meme is that the U.S., the CIA, the DNI, Clapper, Brennan, all those guys, they would not politicize intelligence. Mm-hmm. Except that, yes, they would, and they have, and basically that's the job all the time. I'm not pointing fingers at line-level guys, just like during the Comey controversy. I wasn't pointing my finger at the line-level agents. I was pointing my finger directly at the people that are above, the chiefs instead of the Indians,
right?
If you will. But it's these guys at the top who decide whether the information collected by the Indians, the line-level people, is going to be seen, and what is seen, if it's seen at all. So it's not a surprise that because of this and his skepticism, Donald Trump, that the holes of the various U.S. intelligence community, they're not real happy with Donald Trump these days. So Tuesday's article from the Washington Post, which contained, Washington Post admitted that it contained a lot of speculation and a little bit of fact, could be used as a sort of a cautionary tale for Donald Trump. In other words, watch your six, mister. Mm-hmm. So I was watching Charles Krauthammer on Brett Baer last night, and Charles Krauthammer specifically said, regarding this Washington Post article, when you get these spy versus spy leaks, you can't believe anybody because they're all lying, and that's what they do for a living, just what I said. And so you never know which side is lying. But I think that the very fact this story has surfaced is a way for the CIA to be telling Trump, you mess with us, we have a lot of information, we can mess with you. So the bottom line out of that, as of yesterday, and when I posted this morning, is that there are so many political machinations going on, mm-hmm. and so many levels for so many mixed and cross-purposed reasons that everything is about as clear as mud. Well, hold that statement, because then there was another particular...
What kind of mud?
Any mud. Then Breitbart came in, and they ran a story from BuzzFeed. And there was another thing, it's like from the story here, this is so complicated, it's very difficult to put it all together. You're going to have to read all of this stuff. But basically... I
don't even think it's that complicated per se, but go on.
Basically, people were saying, okay...
He just called our listeners stupid.
The information from Trump and the information is about what was going on that was given to the intelligence agencies, that had to be sourced from someone from somewhere. To say that Trump, the Russians have video of Trump pissing on the bed that Obama once slept in, it's off the
Golden
hook.
Showergate.
It's just, it's so, it's just wacky.
Which, I had a story, and I wasn't able to bring Carrie on, but Carrie Donovan had a great social media story involving Golden Showergate, but go on.
Well, I said that I get a lot of my news sources, not from the U.S., but from the UK.
Right.
So it's funny. With this controversy now going on today, I find an article from the U.S. Daily Mail which says, I did what any citizen should do. Sworn Trump enemy John McCain admits he handed smear dossier to the FBI because he had no idea if it was credible. Arizona senator who disowned Trump before the election admits he handed document outlining claims of the Kremlin blackmail to the FBI. brief statement claims that he received it and gave it directly to FBI Director James Comey. Wait for this. Because he was unable to make a judgment about its accuracy. Okay, so that's McCain's job and the job of everybody to give information that you have no idea where it comes from to high-level operators. That's lunacy.
It's pathetic is what it is. It's pathetic. It's absolutely sad and pathetic. Listen,
he's a petty little man.
Washington reporter Kyle Bernstein says former British ambassador to Moscow handed it to McCain. The ambassador, conveniently, has not been named.
Well,
and the author of the report also gave to the FBI agent that he knew the station in Rome months ago. So then they get into the article. Sworn Donald Trump enemy John McCain admitted Wednesday that he passed the dossier of claims of a Russian blackmail plot against the president-elect, calling it's what any citizen would do.
Here's the amazing part about this, and not defending McCain on any stretch of the imagination. Let's just say, as senator, he did actually get something like that.
Right.
And he did turn it over. Then you shut your mouth. And it shouldn't be leaked until it's investigated.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of Trump's biggest complaints today in his press conference is all this stuff that is supposed to be classified is getting leaked all over the place.
Well, and that's the other deal. That's the corollary.
And he made the good point also. He said, it's illegal.
Yes.
It's illegal.
Yes.
And it is. You know what? So I think Trump, since they want to play this, I think Trump should investigate
all these fake news agencies.
Absolutely.
Well, it first appeared on BuzzFeed.
Yes.
Okay, BuzzFeed is owned by whom? It's an adjunct of whom? NBC.
NBC, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the place where NBC decides it wants to do its dirty work when it has dirty work to conduct.
Mm-hmm.
Then it gets sent out into the ozone. CNN then, thusly, picks it up. They don't say that they're 100% behind it, but up to that point, it's only been BuzzFeed and CNN that have released information about this. They've known about it for a while. Fox said we had an idea about it, but there was no credibility and we couldn't authenticate anything and corroborate the information. So we and other news agencies decided wisely, we're not going to release it. We can't corroborate it. We don't have a primary or a second source for the information. So until we do, we're just going to let it be, so to speak. Then this gets out to Trump. Then the intelligence agencies sit down with Trump and relay the information to him before BuzzFeed releases it and CNN releases it. Then the news conference to end all news conferences comes out.
Do you blame him?
No. We're going to be going there. Okay.
Okay.
But here's the other thing. Now there are responses about what BuzzFeed did and CNN did from, folks, do you remember Piers Morgan? Piers Morgan was on CNN for quite some time.
And just so you know, BZ, because you may not be aware of this.
It was before your time.
The sackheads are at ideological war.
And have been.
Yes. With Piers Morgan.
For an extended
before you say anything pleasant about the man, know which side you're on.
Okay.
Tread very, very carefully.
Is there history?
Because there is a treason clause in your contract.
No, you're talking me getting red. Look at Shaun over there. He matches his seat. Do you see how his face matches his seat?
Shaun, am I lying?
No, we do actually have
treason contract. We do have a treason clause, and it was in the document you signed.
Maybe we should stop for a moment. And is this a perfect time for you to insert information about Piers Morgan that I may not be aware of?
He's an asshat, but go ahead.
Yeah, he's a complete jackass, and we hate him, and we're at ideological war with him.
I know where you're going with this, and I understand it. Yeah. I want you to
So wait, are we giving him an exemption?
This is
under the treason clause.
We will sanction.
Yes, up to a certain point. Okay.
Subparagraph C.
Once you get past this item,
then I'll stop.
Right.
Right.
If you go outside of this item with it,
You'll be
then
brought up on charges
You will
of
be brought
treason.
up with official charges.
Okay.
Right.
Well, then I know my parameters. I'll stay within them,
Okay.
and I'll stop.
Okay, good. Go
Okay,
on, sir.
with that in mind, now we go back to the Daily Mail, the UK Daily Mail.
I object.
Your Honor, I object. The headline for this is written by Piers Morgan for the UK Daily Mail. He writes this headline: "The only hookers in this story are the cheap, lazy journalists who ran with fake Trump sleaze to urinate on his presidency."
Wow.
Can you get any more specific than that?
No.
I don't think you can. Maybe one day, like I say about myself, I'll come out of my shell and tell you what I really think. Maybe Piers Morgan will come out of his shell and tell you what he really thinks. Well, he did in an article. It says the first two words in Piers Morgan's article are, "It's bullshit."
Yeah. That's pretty impressive.
I like it already. President-elect Donald Trump didn't pay prostitutes to urinate on his bed in the presidential suite at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Moscow 3 years ago. Neither did Trump do this to deliberately defile a bed that had been used by Barack and Michelle Obama. Nor did Vladimir Putin secretly videotape the whole thing to use as blackmail against Trump at a later date. He says, this is great, he says it's all just baloney. Horribly damaging, deeply offensive baloney, which will, of course, have caused huge distress to Trump, his wife Melania, and their wider families. That is my considered verdict on Watergate scandal number 2. How can I be so sure? First, Trump has categorically, furiously, emphatically denied it. This is interesting because then Piers Morgan says his "I'm a germaphobe" defense alone at today's press conference is pretty compelling, given I've personally seen him recoil from shaking hands many times. Second, the Russians and Putin himself have equally categorically, furiously, emphatically denied it. Third, the 35-page dossier containing the bombshell claim has done the rounds of many of Americans' leading media outlets for months, and nobody's been able to verify any of it, even as they were champing at the bit to destroy Trump's presidential campaign.
Wow.
So you've got McCain doing his level best to assassinate Trump even before Trump has stepped into the office.
Right.
We've got all of these forces of the American media maggots aligning up against Donald Trump. And then we have the press conference that occurred this morning with Donald Trump. And again, I wish I had it on audio to play. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't heard it, you really should. Find some kind of a media outlet, because basically CNN, Donald Trump goes into a large explanation, sort of building up without giving too much information about all of these forces that are essentially aligned against him. Yes, sir.
And the whole conference starts, this all takes place after a lengthy explanation from a tax lawyer about his holdings and his businesses.
Right. His personal lawyer.
Well, so there's, I say a tax
Michael
lawyer
Cohen.
Kind of. Well, then the female too. I forget her name.
I talked about that today on Jersey Joe's show. I thought that was absolutely brilliant.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
So it lays out a case about, hey, here is very, very transparent. Here are the moves we made to divest myself from any interest. And not only that, but if somebody from a foreign government stays in any of my hotels, which I no longer have a part of, just to be even more safe, any of that money and profits is going to be, a check is going to be written to the United States Treasury. How awesome is that?
It's very intelligent, too.
So after all of this dry case is laid out for exactly what the business is going to look like, who's going to be doing what, set up in a trust, and everything so that the American people know exactly what's going on with it. Mm-hmm. He didn't have to do that. But brilliant that he did. And I don't mean to interrupt you, BZ, but I really wanted to
the point needs to be made.
Really set the tone for hey, this is how and I think that seeing what he did in the second half of that, it really was that this is how transparent I'm willing to be with you. I'm willing to give you all of these things, which I don't have to do, but here is exactly what it's going to look like now that I'm president of the United States. And another thing he said is after 8 years when I'm done.
Yes, I caught that. Then that was just grand.
Nobody really reported that. At least I haven't heard that reporting yet. And then he takes the stage, and he doesn't answer questions really about that. He goes into what you're talking about now.
Right.
So I wanted to set that tone. Go ahead.
Now, folks, if you want to find out what actually was said in this video of it, go to, of all places, the New York Times. They've got a great coverage. They've got the video and the complete and full transcript of the news conference. So if you want to see it, go to NewYorkTimes.com, and it's under U.S. Politics Trump Press Conference Transcript. So it's all right there. But essentially, after saying that CNN had a hand in helping to promote BuzzFeed's bullshit article.
And it was bullshit.
And it was complete bullshit. Which came from, now we know it came from Senator John McCain of Arizona. Arizona, what the hell are you thinking?
How many times are you going to make that mistake?
You know.
What are they going to do, elect a Democrat?
Well, there was other people out there.
Yeah, there were.
And again, I blame the Republicans for not actually getting behind other people.
That's a story for that could be an entire 2 hours all by itself.
It really could be.
But he goes now. Trump begins to explain how BuzzFeed and CNN are inexorably linked with this because no one covered the story except BuzzFeed promoted it and CNN covered the promotion. No one else did.
Right.
So there's no representative from BuzzFeed there, so he's now talking in front of a guy named Acosta who represents CNN.
Ooh, and you want to listen to that?
Do you have it? Oh, ladies and gentlemen, if you have it, this is glorious. If you haven't heard it, you must. Please.
I believe this is the specific one, and if I'm wrong, I apologize. I kind of looked it up on the fly.
I have to follow up on Steve's Russia remarks. Based on your comments here today, do you believe the hacking was justified? Does Russia have any leverage over financial loans?
This wasn't Acosta. Yeah, I'm trying to work on the volume there. I know this eventually gets into the fight between Acosta and Trump on I think it's the next argument. This one leads up to the actual argument. He's getting applause for it.
Yeah. I don't think they care. I won.
Well, and so here's the amazing part about this press conference. I know this sounds a little rough on that, and I apologize. But this is something, and I know you were bringing up Acosta BZ, and I don't want to cut you off, and we're probably just going to bowl through the last break here just so we can get all this in. We already went over it. But the tone in this press conference that he took was very much, if you're one of the Alphabet News people who constantly cause problems and report this fake crap, I'm going to call you out on it. And he did. Go back to Acosta, because I got the wrong clip, and I apologize for you. But
that's okay. While I'm doing this, maybe if you can find the one where he's specifically... So I'll do this for a while if you can find the one that talks about fake news, because it is golden.
I'm working on it.
It's golden news. It's wonderful. Okay, so back at the press conference, there's a question from one of the persons. It says, first of all, did the heads of the intelligence agencies provide you with a 2-page summary of the unsubstantiated allegations? And secondly to that, on the broad picture, do you accept their opinion that Vladimir Putin ordered the hack of the DNC and the attempted hack of the RNC? And if you do, how will that color your attempts to rebuild a relationship with a leader who has been accused of committing an act of espionage against the United States? And Trump says this, and it's the truth, and very few people reported it, is this. Trump says in response, okay, first of all, these readings, as you know, are confidential. They're classified, so I'm not allowed to talk about what went on in a meeting. You know, hello, Captain Obvious. He said, but we had many witnesses in that meeting, many of them with us, and I will say again, I think it's a disgrace that information would be let out. I saw the information, I read the information outside of that meeting. It's all fake news. It's phony stuff. It didn't happen, and it was gotten by opponents of ours, as you know. Now, he didn't quite specifically name McCain, but he was considerate.
Keep talking. Go ahead.
And he said, it didn't happen. And it was gotten by opponents of ours, as you know, because you reported it. And so did many of the other people. It was a group of opponents that got together, sick people, and they put that crap together. So I will tell you that not within the meeting, but outside the meeting, somebody released it. It should never have been. Number one, shouldn't have even entered paper, but it should have never been released. But I read what was released. I think it's a disgrace. I think it's an absolute disgrace. As far as hacking, this is now for the American media maggots, and he said this before, once I read this, you can take a big cup of shut the fuck up, because now he says unequivocally in one sentence, as far as hacking, I think it was Russia. How much more clear can you be than that?
Right.
But I think we also get hacked by other countries and other people. And I can say that, you know, when we lost 22 million names and everything else who was hacked recently, they didn't make a big deal out of it. That was something that was extraordinary. That was probably China. We had much hacking going on. And one of the things we're going to do, we have some of the greatest computer minds anywhere in the world that we've assembled. You saw that sample just 2 weeks ago, and there were 6 top people in the world. Well, he goes on a little bit. One of the next questions was, just to the last part of that question, how could all of this potentially color your attempts to build a better relationship with President Putin? So Trump responds, well, you know, President Putin and Russia put out a statement today that this fake news was indeed fake news. And they said it totally never happened. Now, somebody would say, oh, of course he's going to say that. I respected the fact that he said that. And I'll be honest, I think if he did have something, they would have released it.
Yep.
They would have been glad.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. And they would have released it almost right after the election was said and done. If they were really trying to damage us as a whole and they were playing both sides with the Hillary hacking and then trying to go after Trump, just to make anything they could to hurt us as a nation, within days of the election, I think that would have came out. I really believe that. Go ahead, sorry.
That's okay. I'm trying to get down here to the part that is just wonderful. Then Dylan comes in.
Well, then they
speaks.
Well, then they start the little bit of the yelling match there for a little bit between the two of them, which was impressive in itself. And he starts calling them out. Hey, listen, you're fake news, and that was like I almost applauded, because one of the things that we talk about on this network all the time is how everybody ignores it. He went on. The other thing he brought up too is out of the 17 ranked. What's the word I'm looking for? Categories in this country as far as business, politics, blah, 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 government, that the United States, after some major businesses, is the weakest technologically against hacking. Us as a nation, where other companies have far better defense against hacking than we do as a country. And it said, so of course there's a potential for us to get hacked. Well, because you have private businesses that do it better than we do.
Yeah, and Trump even addressed the difference between the successful hack of the DNC,
yes,
and the unsuccessful attack against the RNC.
Right.
And that was, he said, hey, I want good, basically, I want good
defense,
digital protection. I want good defense against hackers. And the RNC, from what it sounded like from Trump's conference day, actually listened to him. Right?
So
I think this is going to be a priority in Trump's incoming administration,
unless he's a blithering idiot,
which I don't think, he's obviously not.
Here's the good part,
and he's going to overhaul the intel community.
Oh God, way past.
And I think they know they're kind of in the death throes, which is why they're doing this.
The transcript picks up here. I found the appropriate point. There's a question. The question was this: the tweet that you had this morning about we're living in Nazi Germany, what were you driving at there? What are you trying to tell the American public? And Trump says, I think it was disgraceful. Disgraceful that the intelligence agencies allowed any information that turned out to be so false and fake out. I think it's a disgrace, and I say that, and that's something that Nazi Germany would have done and did do. I think it's a disgrace that information that was false and fake and never happened got released to the public. As far as BuzzFeed, which is a failing pile of garbage, writing it, I think they're going to suffer the consequences. They already are. And as far as CNN going out of the way to build it up, and by the way, we just found out I was coming down, Michael Cohen is a very talented lawyer. He's a good lawyer in my firm. It was just reported that it wasn't this Michael Cohen that they're talking about, so all night long it's Michael Cohen. I said to him, I want to see a passport. He brings his passport to my office. I said, hey, wait a minute. He didn't leave the country. He wasn't out of the country. They had Michael Cohen of the Trump Organization was in Prague. It turned out to be a different Michael Cohen. It's a disgrace what took place. It's a disgrace, and I think they ought to apologize to start with Michael Cohen. This is where it starts to get good. Then Acosta sticks his hand up. Since you're attacking us, can you give us a question, Mr. President-elect? Go ahead. Mr. President-elect, since you're attacking our news organization, not you, can you give us a chance? Your organization is terrible. You are attacking our news organization. Can you give us a chance for a question, sir? Can you? Quiet. Mr. President-elect, can you say, he's asking a question, don't be rude, don't be rude. Can you give us a question since you're attacking us? Can you give us a question? Don't be rude. No, I'm not going to give you a question. I'm not going to give you a question. Can you state, you are fake news? Go ahead. Sir, can you state categorically that no, Mr. President-elect, that's not appropriate? Go ahead. Then there was applause.
Go ahead to somebody who was trying to ask
a question. Then in the background, you can hear all this applause from this interchange between this blithering idiot who's going to challenge and tell the President-elect what he can and cannot do, what he can and cannot think. So then the question continues. Do you think President Obama went too far with the sanctions he put on Russia after the hacking? I don't think he went too far, no. Will you roll them back? What do you think of Lindsey Graham's plan to send you a bill for that? Plan to send me a bill for what? Tougher sanctions. You have to read it.
Well,
but then he didn't know about Lindsey Graham's plan to send him a bill.
Yeah, and he was like, hey, you know what? I've heard he's a nice guy. I don't know Lindsey, but it sounds like he's just being himself.
No, but he calls, rightly so, he calls CNN fake
news.
Great.
That was my favorite part of the whole thing. Well, that, and we go back to the leaks portion of it, because it started to play out shortly there afterwards, where he's talking about, hey, Everyone was talking about when I'm having my intel meetings, when I'm not, all these other things. So I didn't tell anybody on my staff. I looked at my staff first, and he admitted that, just to make sure. He said, I checked my staff first.
Which shows how smart he is.
I didn't tell anybody on my staff, and I went to a meeting, and all of a sudden, the news had it. So I know it's somebody on the inside that's leaking this, and it's illegal. So when he goes after intelligence, and he goes after the intelligence community...
And I think he's going to.
He's got good points.
Absolutely.
People, this is destructive to our intelligence. No, when you're leaking things that you shouldn't, that's destructive. When you're talking about it as the next potential president saying this needs to be fixed, it's a problem. Whether you like the guy or not, that's transparency.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and the other part of it is January 20th, Jeff Sessions.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So here's one thing Democrats, I'm asking you to do something. Because
I don't know if we legally can ask them to do that.
It would be epic.
Look, do you different.
Do you remember what the British played when they surrendered at Yorktown? They played The World Turned Upside Down. Democrats, I want you to play The World Turned Upside Down at the Trump inauguration. One, that would show me that you have a sense of humor and are not in dire need of an enema. Number two...
Well, they are.
Yeah, number two would show that you have some understanding of our history.
Yes, but that's not true.
That's not true. That's why they're not going to.
Well, and you know what's funny is you talk about Democrats in this situation. Jersey Joe brought up a great point this morning. It's funny how in the last month, all of a sudden, the Democrats are using words like patriotism, Constitution, all these other things, and the arguments that they're trying to form. Where 4 months ago, those of us that were talking about it were extremists and potential terrorists for even using the words.
Oh, yeah. Well, the Democrats have been nothing but obstructionists. I mean, you already talked about what we did at what they're doing at the confirmation hearings and so forth. But Sheila Jackson Lee, our favorite representative, tried saying that she's not going to ratify the results of the Electoral College because she believed voter suppression might have invalidated the election.
Yes, and then Joe Biden's most favorite comments.
The entire election.
Joe.
Yeah.
Did he say, fuck it, I'll sign this, let's go grab a drink, Toots.
Lighten up, honey.
See you in 4 years.
Lighten up, sweetheart. It's about to be pants off time for Uncle
the
Joe.
Democrats, they tried to block the repeal of Obamacare, so they had that all-night talkathon on the floor.
Right.
It's illegal. Under the Senate rules, that's illegal.
And they've said they're going to do it again.
Yep. Schumer says he's going to fight, quote, tooth and nail to block the Supreme Court nominee from Trump. He doesn't even know who the frickin' nominee is.
No, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Right, but it just shows that they are obstruction. And it's going to be interesting to see if the Republicans pull the nuclear option like the Dems did.
Well, the Republicans are already showing me that they're like protozoa. They're protozoa.
Eunuchs.
They are absolutely invertebrate. They're
he is a eunuch.
He is dead.
They're like flatworms. They have no spines.
Hang on. Sorry.
Rubio has proven that.
Time and again.
Yes.
Sorry, history of the world.
Sorry, history of the world. It kind of fits because we're making history right now in a new world.
Well,
see what I did there?
And John McCain. So
is a eunuch.
If we think that we're going to get everybody to coalesce around this stuff, all three of those people are clearly stating to me they're not going to coalesce around any of that.
Well, and also, BZ, this kind of dovetails nicely. We brought up the movie reference into Hollywood. Because now, with the election, with the inauguration coming, first of all, there's huge reports that there will be they're so afraid of protests because there's been so many threats of protests at the inauguration that the security for it is actually much greater than it's ever been. It looks like, and they're expecting over 1.8 million people in D.C. at the time for the inauguration. It should be record-setting. So. Now you have the leftists who are vowing direct action during the inauguration, and then Hollywood, who from the day after the inauguration alleges that they're going to strike.
Good.
All the leftist elitist lunatics in Hollywood.
Good.
Hey, we already have our couple millions of dollars, so we're not going to perform like the trained monkeys that we are.
Right.
We're going to sit home and not make movies.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
From yournewswire.com, celebrities call for total Hollywood strike until Trump resigns.
Yes.
A group of liberal Hollywood celebrities are threatening a massive all-around Hollywood strike unless Donald Trump resigns.
Well, good. I have Netflix. I have
a couple of different things. Hey, California, you bunch of friggin' geniuses. Guess what's going to happen to your economy if this pisses the tank? I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying. All that black tape that Governor Jerry Brown said, we balanced our budget through all that bullshit that they did this year. Gone. It will be gone. And here's the other thing. These friggin' idiots are so goddamn greedy. We all know they're not going to stop making movies. It's not going to happen.
You know what? Like Vince Vaughn and Clint Eastwood could make a movie together. I'll watch it.
Bruce Willis, James Woods.
Yeah.
We get some other people. Scott Baio.
Scott
needs to come back anyhow.
Chachi. Make a freaking Happy Days movie.
Have him produce the movie. He can be in charge.
If that pissed you off, then the rest of the article will also light your fire, so to speak, describing Hollywood as the base of the entire modern American culture. The group also claims to be speaking on behalf of all of humanity.
Oh, my God.
They said, it's about time people understand it, that we're the ones with the power and that the president is there to serve us, not the other way around.
That's funny when we...
To which I say...
That's funny, when we said that, we were a bunch of extremists and racists.
So, you know what? Leftists... keep at least one promise. You said you were going to go to Canada and you didn't.
Get the hell out.
And now you say you're going to go on strike. So, for Christ's sake, at least keep one of your promises.
Go
please.
On strike. I do want to talk about U.S. concealed carry. There is a bill that's rumored to be going to pass Congress. Congress is going to send it to Donald Trump. And that is that any state that issues a concealed weapons permit, all states shall honor that concealed weapon permit. So if somebody gets a concealed weapon permit in Mississippi, it's going to be valid in California, and California is going to shat all over them.
Oh, yes. There's nothing like reciprocity. That's exactly what it is. It's reciprocity, and it's way, way overdue. And if they do that for CCW holders, they ought to do that nationally for retired LEOs as well.
They already have.
Nationally.
Well, you can't so the way that
the laws should all be the same.
The way that House bill works is retirees can, as long as their department has them go through like an annual qual or something like that, and then they get that. So it already is for retirees also. But what I want to see happen is I want to see Congress step in and say, "Hey, states, all of your weapons laws are null and void."
Right.
Because the 10th Amendment says that the states have the power to do whatever's not written here, and the 2nd Amendment is clearly a federal issue.
And the Supremacy Clause.
It's not a state issue, and it overrides all your little bullshit.
Well,
and so we're issuing a national concealed weapon
Well,
permit.
the Concealed Carry Reciprocity Act of 2017 is what it's called. It's being supported by North Carolina Republican Richard Hudson. And he released the details of the bill. And it's pretty simple. Essentially, if you have your government-issued ID and your state permit for your license to carry or concealed weapons and your weapon, it's going to be honored in all 50 states.
Yep.
And it hasn't been given the HR number yet, but it's going to be to amend the Title 18 of the U.S. Code.
And my thing is this: how California bans like every handgun. What if you have a handgun in your state that you're legally entitled to carry and you bring it to California? I think that's
common sense. I think that's a common sense move, though, to have that language in there. Is hey, as long as you are the state that you're issued is the state that
allows
your weapon is
you
legal,
to have that gun,
then there's no problem with it.
You can have it anywhere.
Oh gosh, I just want to drive by the California State Capitol if I could figure out where it is. If this ever gets signed, and actually smell the feces coming out of them defecating themselves ridiculously, trying to figure out, and my favorite part is going to be Eric Holder in that, trying to figure out how to fight this, and the world's going to realize he's a moron.
But they already have realized he's a moron. So between $25,000 and $28,000 a month is what they're paying. We were supposed to follow up on that segment this week.
Yeah, it was $75,000. Here's the deal: was $75,000 going to be for the first 3 months, what they say is initially.
Yeah.
Now, the word initially to me says all. What that means is that's going to keep
That's
going.
the basis of the retainer.
Yes.
And that's just enough to keep them on the hook.
Here's what California ultimately wants. Trust
5
me.
minutes.
They want everything with a detachable magazine gone.
They want everything gone.
They want everything gone.
They're just going to chip it down.
California wants everything. They want BB guns gone. They want...
It's a nudge. It's
Yeah.
a complete nudge.
They
We've
want
talked
everything
about
gone.
nudge a billion times. All they're trying to do is just... They'll just keep chipping away, and then that thing's violent, and then that thing that's left is still violent. And they'll just keep going and going and going until you are literally down to a spitball, and even that you'll need to have a license
Or
for.
trucks.
Right.
And the license will be $850 a year for a spitball.
Do we have time for National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day on Monday?
4 minutes.
Okay. National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day was on Monday. On that particular day, Orlando Police Department Master Sergeant Deborah Crowley was shot and killed by a murder suspect. To my understanding, he is not yet in custody. Then
His
there was
sister
also
is.
Oh, the sister is?
Sister is for aiding and abetting.
Okay. They have not yet found him, however. Another law enforcement officer was killed that same day during a manhunt when somebody turned in front of his motor and he was killed. On that particular day, Congressman, police appreciation lights refused by White House. The White House refused a call by a Republican congressman to light the White House blue on Monday for National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. Obama has not agreed to do so, but has displayed lights at the White House for other groups in the past,
Every
including
other
the LGBT community,
Yes.
a spokeswoman from Republican Washington Representative Dave Reichert's office. That is the parting shot of Barack Hussein Obama to the law enforcement community and what he thinks of you all across the nation.
Well, and here's my guess, and it's coming up once again. It's amazing what side of history he will stand on. Because, you know what? If I'm going out the door and I'm thinking about legacy, which is all this guy's ever thought about anyhow, I'm going to do it just so I can argue later in my memoirs that I did it. And I'm trying to change history. And he can't even do that. He is such...
It's all about him. In
Yes.
his last speech,
exactly.
he said the word I 75 times.
Yep.
It's all about him.
Yeah, it's not about that. We've known that, though.
We can go straight to hell.
Yes. It's not about the country. It's about him and what history is going to say about him.
But the country's going to mourn.
And
his
he's not
dog's
going away.
he's not going away. That's the biggest damn problem. I guess.
Watch how active Michelle Obama is going to start being.
No, I'll tell you right now. Watch the move to remove the two. Watch it try to start.
Nah.
So he can run again. No, you don't think so? You don't think the left's going to try to? jam
They've
that
already
down there?
tried to. They don't even hold one house of Congress right now.
Right
There's
now,
way
no,
they
but they're
can.
going to start it.
They
and
might
try to get it. You watch. I guarantee you, it's going to pick up in 2 years. Mark
I
my
think
words.
Look how many jobs Trump has already saved. I know we talked about this last week.
Well, and
Trump,
even more
Trump
now.
has such a strong chance of being a two-term president
if he does
and,
well.
And if he does well, I mean, Ford is back in Michigan.
Yep.
That's pretty much a big step.
All we need is Steele back in Pittsburgh,
Steele's
and Cole
back in
West
Pittsburgh,
Virginia, and we'll be good to go.
Then Michigan and Pennsylvania are going to be solid red for a while.
Yeah.
And if all those jobs start leaving California, watch California also.
Well, all the steel in the Bay Bridge in San Francisco came from China.
China.
All the steel, if you look at all the new railroad track building, including the track that Governor Brown wants to run on the damn train to nowhere, all that
Well,
steel...
Bakersfield to Fresno, everybody commutes that.
Right, all that steel comes from Japan.
Going to Fresno from Bakersfield. There's literally going to be dozens of people a year on that
That's
train.
right. That's right.
A decade.
Most of them will be conductors, but that's not the point.
That's not the point.
There's not one passenger rail system on the planet that makes money. None.
Yep.
If you think they do, you're wrong.
It's
They're
all government.
government supported.
Yep.
All of them. Not one is profitable.
And
What about light rail?
Got to cut us off. Folks, that's it for
Right,
the
the
Sackheads
exception.
Radio
Of
Show.
course.
That's it for the Sackheads Radio Show on the 11th
This was a great show.
of January 2017. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
BZ tomorrow night.
I still have to go up the damn hill.
Okay, so maybe next Tuesday.
I'm hoping for next Tuesday.
We
I
will be
think
back
tomorrow's
next
gone.
Wednesday, hella high water.
Yeah.
Right here on the Sackheads Radio Show, live
Dang,
on the
this was a
SHR
good
Media
show.
Network. Make sure you check out all of our social media and all of our broadcast partners, including the Exceptional Conservative Network and High Plains Pundit. Thank you so much for spending time with us. Now, get the hell out of here. We'll see you next week.
We love you.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that too.
We love you. I love you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. Welcome aboard Trump Flight 1600 with nonstop service to Canada. We'd like to welcome all our celebrity defectors, and we'll get you out of America just as soon as the tower clears us for takeoff. Once we reach our cruising altitude, flight attendants will pass through the cabin, collecting your U.S. citizenship renouncement forms and serving complimentary beverages and disposable crying towels. Once we reach the drop zone, you'll be guided to the exit ramp at the rear of the plane, where you'll take a crash course on parachute folding and be jettisoned shortly thereafter. We'd like to thank you for choosing Trump Airlines and hope you have a soft landing. Bye-bye.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Shaun and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Hack news. Hack news.
Radio.
Hack news. Hack news.
Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.